Luanda, Angola, late November 2025. The calm before the storm. Two continents, one summit. More than 80 heads of state and government will soon descend upon this city to redefine, to negotiate, to fight for the future.
Of EU and African Union leaders in Luanda, Angola has drawn to a close, with both sides emphasizing that the shared future of their continents lies in closer cooperation.
Welcome to the 7th AU-EU Summit. The stakes, African dignity, Europe's influence, and the fate of generations to come. For 25 years, the partnership between Europe and Africa has been packed as cooperation, solidarity, progress. But for many Africans, the truth behind the pomp has often been unequal: extractions, debt, dependency. This time, Africa doesn't just want to talk. It wants leverage, it wants power, it wants stable to turn. Days before the heads of state arrive, another summit unfolds in the margins. The AU-EU Civil Society and Youth Forum. Over 100 young leaders, civil society actors from across Africa and Europe gathers not for the red carpet, but for real debate, jobs, education, governance, rights, inclusion. Many African youth are tired of being spectators. They want a seat at the table, a voice that echoes. This part set the emotional and political prelude, the people's expectations, demands, pent-up frustrations, and promises of change. Angola, holding the rotating presidency of the African Union, welcomes 8 continental brothers and sisters and their European counterparts. On the one side, the EU, older, wealthier, used to settling the rules. On the other, Africa, raw potential, scars of history, anger, hope. At this summit, Africa seeks not charity, it seeks reckoning. Here, the film dives deep into the core issues, debates at the summit, painting each as a battlefield with heavy consequences for Africa. The summit puts a spotlight on economic transformation, industrialization, trade, investment, value addictions, resilient supply chains. Special focus on Lobito Corridor, a 1,300-kilometer rail and transport corridor linking mineral-rich regions, DRC, Zambia, to Angola's Atlantic coast. This corridor becomes symbolic, the possibility of Africa transporting its own minerals, building its own infrastructure, deciding its own destiny, not exporting raw ore, but building wealth. The summit reaffirms cooperations through the EU's global investment strategy, Global Gateway. But Africa demands that investment come with genuine transfer of technology, local jobs, respect for environmental and labor rights. Africa stands at a crossroad: export raw materials to fill foreign coffers, or build factories, build railways, build industries, build her future. This fight over infrastructure and trade is no less than a fight for sovereignty. One of the most urgent demands screened at the summit: more fair and effective debt restructuring tools, innovative financing, reformed global financial structures. The chair of the AU, also Angola's president, stressed that current frameworks, such as the G20's Common Framework, have failed many African countries. He calls for reforms in global governance, international financial architectures, representation in institutions, fairer trade rules, climate funds, debt relief tied to development, not exploitation. For decades, debt has been Africans' invisible chain. The interest payment and conditionality, the illusion. But this time, African calls for bluff. This message is clear: no more deals that keep us digging the hole deeper. We want fair tools, real agency. The summit reaffirmed commitment to peace, security, good governance, supporting peace operations, conflict prevention, strengthening the rule of law. In a world troubled by wars in Ukraine, Sudan, DRC, the Sahel, Africa demands that its voice be heard in global institutions, that its interests shape global security decisions. Peace is not charity, it's sovereignty. Stability is not assistance, it's right. Africa refuses to be the battlefield for foreign agendas. It demands respect, involvement, ownership. The summit reaffirmed commitment to education, skills development, research innovation, student and academic mobility, diaspora engagement, cooperation on green energy, clean electricity, climate resilience infrastructures, digital transition, and sustainable development. The war for Africa's future will not be fought only with minerals or railways. It will be fought in classrooms, in labs, in solar farms, in silicon chips, by youth who demand opportunity, dignity, climate, and justice. This summit was never meant to be just another joint communique. For the first time in decades, the language shifts from aid to investment, from dependency to partnership, from extraction to value, from outsiders, charity to Africans, demand the reaffirmation of the African Continental Free Trade Area and push for real implementation, African value-added industries, regional trade, and less dependency on external markets. The push for infrastructure projects like the Lobito Corridor are central, not just for exports but for connecting Africans' economies, transporting resources internally, building integration and sovereignty. Demand for an overhaul of global financial architects, not as beneficiaries, but as equals, not as supplicants, but as decision makers. Youth, civil society, and diaspora as real stakeholders, not fringe observers. Their voices amplified, their stakes real. Africa doesn't want to be told what to do. Africa wants the tools to build, not loans that bind, not strings that struggle, but real partnership, real power, real future. At the end of the summit, leaders releases a joint declaration, a text heavy with promises, trade, investment, clean energy, mobility, climate, security, digital, infrastructure, and governance. But declarations are papers. Papers bend. What matters is delivery. Debt relief mechanism may still fall short. External creditors may resist real restructuring. Infrastructures and investment risks being extractive. Unless Africa insists on value addition, local industries, local jobs, governance, corruption, transparency, implementation, all problems may resurface if reforms are not enforced. Youth and civil society pressure may be sidelined once the cameras leave. This is the moment of truth. Africa has declared its ambition, but ambition without follow-through is just another promise. The next month, years will show if this summit is turning point or just another summit with beautiful photos. As you watch this, you know this. The 7th AU-EU summit is about more than diplomacy. It's a battleground for Africans' future, economic sovereignty, dignity, equality, justice. What they negotiate in halls and boardrooms will affect the food you eat, the jobs you get, the air you breathe, the rights you assert. Demand accountability, track the implementation of promises, infrastructure, energy, trade, finance. Do not let lofty words become empty pledges. Support African ownership. Africa must lead its own development, value addition, industry, local jobs, not merely serve as resource reservoir. Empower youth and civil society. Their voice at the summit was just the beginning. They must remain vigilant, mobilize, organize, push for global structural change, debt relief, financial architecture reformed, fair trade, not charity, but justice. Hold both EU and African leaders responsible. Real partnership demands integrity and mutual respect, not exploitation disguised as cooperation. They came with flags, with smiles, with speeches, but African weight, not with open hands, but with open eyes. The summit ends, the struggle continues. Do you think this is just an open west or papers with declarations? We all know declarations on papers can't bend, but with real change, with implementations, Africa can stand on itself. What are your thoughts on this actual summit? Is Africa turning the table or this is just an illusion? Whatever you think, drop your opinion in the comment section. Thank you for watching this channel.